The New Year festivities didn't go without some skirmishes here in Lagos, particularly in the Magodo Brooks estate, when the team of the State Commissioner of Police, Hakeem Odumosu, clashed with guards stationed at the estate gate. The police commissioner, who was angered by the attitude of the guards for delaying him in getting access to the estate for a function, ordered their arrest and detention. But officials of the Magodo Brooks Residential Association have apologized to Mr. Odumosu over the rift. In a letter, the chairman of the Board of Trustees, Ayola Lawson, explained that the guards didn't mean to embarrass him, and that's how we began the program today. So there had been, gentlemen, back and forth between the police PRO and the estate leadership. But what do you make of this, Olabisi, when you look at the back and forth? There does seem to have been a breakdown in communication. But first things first, how did it all seem to you?
Actually, I think I saw a case of breakdown in communication, first of all, because I think that if the Commissioner of Police was to attend a function in the estate, at least the security people ought to have been informed beforehand. I also saw a case of, I look at the two accounts of the estate residents and that of the police PRO. I could see that the issues here are clearly that of probably security guards trying to defer to the estate management that employed them, and a police commissioner that felt highly embarrassed that he wasn't given the right recognition at the point of entrance at that particular point in time. Even though the two sides try to give us the impression that well, for the estate, they didn't want to let us know that probably the security delayed the commissioner more than what should have been appropriate. And also the police side do not want us to believe that the police commissioner acted to, use its power against the resident. But if you look closely, you can see that both of them heard one way or the other. Both sides try to overdo in one way or the other, because I expected the security guards to have got in touch even with the estate management, that probably they saw some powerful movements at the gates which they may not understand, and you see, they could be afraid that probably some of the estates or the landlords are to be arrested, because they may not be used to that kind of high level of official movement. So they may want to probably get a clarification. And because the management of the estates were probably not aware that the police commissioner was coming there, they too might also like to make some inquiries, which could have resulted in the delay that was experienced before the gates were opened for the police commissioner, and that kind of a thing. So it's bad, but at the same time, I would have expected the police commissioner to exercise some kind of restraint, because I say that because of the police image right now, and as a leader, I've loved a situation where he could have managed it better, such that people are not arrested, even though the basis for arresting them, the police, they can have a reason for every form of arrest.
All right. Well, that said, Mayor, what is it like to you? First, an issue, and this has also, pitted the polity or divided the polity somewhat. Many are backing the police chief for his actions, whether he was on a social visit, the fact that in his capacity as a police chief coming into an estate, the police calls it a public place. The residents call it, something else, that it is a private, estate. A number of dignitaries reside there. But for you, Madam Bisi has said that both sides erred. How is it for you?
I want to defy a little. I think maybe because of the NSAS, we seem to have lost our respect for constituted authority, because it is irresponsible of those security guards to stop the commissioner of police from accessing any estate, because that is the man in charge of security in this state. But you see, when it is different, if it comes in a private capacity, is driving a car, they can say we don't know him. You understand? And that is the reason for that. Somebody was coming with full complement of guards and outrider, and he gets to a gate of an estate, and he explained to them that this is the commissioner of police, and they said he cannot access the place unless he call whoever he wants to see. That is not acceptable. You see, part of the problem is that because of this, our love for freedom and fundamental rights and all that, we do things that we don't look at the implication of those things. When we don't give police authority, when you run into problem in that estate, when armed robbers attack that estate, they will be screaming and calling the police to come and protect them. So you cannot ask, because yes, you have, if you live in a gated estate, yes, you have the right to put security in place in your estate, but you cannot stop people, emergency workers, to access your estate. Police, firefighters, ambulances, you cannot stop them from accessing that estate. So when the commissioner waited for some time, trying to tell them that I want to access this place, and they are saying you can't do that. It is unacceptable. He didn't enter until he arrested those guards. That shouldn't have happened, because I will give you an example. I live in Omole Estate. There was a time like that, armed robbers came to the estate in Omole, and my neighbor called me to say, oh, armed robbers is in our estate, and we should try to see those that will call. Incidentally, the same commissioner of police now, Odumosu, was the commander of RRS at that time. It was around 3 a.m. So I called him, and luckily he picked the call. He picked the call immediately, and I said, oh, there's armed robbers in our estate. And he asked the address, so I have to give the address of my own house. And in about 10 minutes, RRS entered our estate. You understand? And the robbers had to abandon things they were doing. There was 4 units in the places where they were robbed, and they were in the first house. But because they came in, they stayed in my house, so asked me to come out so that I could tell them. I just said, no, go to the next street. The armed robbers and the next street, they are not in my own house, I can't come out. But what I'm saying is that it is the police that were able to save us that night. If, for example, the police people get to the gate, and you are telling them that, look, you cannot access this estate until you call mayor to call us that you have to enter, they won't be able to save those people that were attacked by armed robbers. So we have to look at it. I understand why the chairman of the board of trustees apologized to the guy, because what they did is wrong. You cannot stop the police chief that is in full control. Somebody told me that they said if the president comes to, you cannot tell me that the governor of Lagos State will get to Magodo or Brooks, and you will say no, the governor of Lagos State cannot enter unless you call somebody that will now clear you to enter. No, we can't do that. We can't do that. The police have specific duties to do. It's not there as Mr. Odumosu. It was there as AIG Odumosu, Commissioner of Police, Lagos State.
Party or not.
So what is going there to do does not matter. It's possible that he's doing something that is important to the state, and he needed to see somebody at that party who will give an important information or who will clarify certain things to him. It's possible. So I can understand if they don't know him. But immediately he introduced himself, and they saw the convoy with the senior of the commissioner of police, and then you now say that, oh, it's our estate, you cannot enter our estate. That is not acceptable.
But looking at the account of the estate, they say that, well, they wouldn't call it insubordination, as the police have described it, overzealousness on the part of the security operatives at the gate. According to the residents, they said the people at the gate were arrested, even when they were trying to help the police chief and his retinue locate where exactly he was going to, seeing as it was a social event, and then the police chief took it otherwise, and then they tried pleading with him. The police has also said that even when they arrested those officers, they left one person, and so as not to leave the place, you know, bereft of security, they actually brought in secured. They brought in officers to come and secure the place with all their gadgets and all that. But this back and forth, this fact that no one actually seems to accept responsibility, and so it leaves more gaps, as you said.
Yeah, you see, what I saw in this episode, as far as I am concerned, is a police authority trying to use its power. Okay, yes, agreed that the police have the right to enter anywhere. Constitutionally, there is even freedom of movement for every Nigerian, even according to our constitution. But then we also know that there are places you get to that you can't enter except to clear yourself, even as a Nigerian. Right? Okay, yes, the police commissioner cannot be compared with an ordinary Nigerian. He has more powers and all of that. If I want to go by the accounts of the residents, like you have rightly explained, the residents said that they actually allowed the police commissioner to go to that party, and they stayed by the gates so that when he's coming back, they could apologize to him, which they did. And when they apologized to him, he was still fuming, and he ordered the arrest of another set of security people that were brought to man the gates. If he did that, that was also a display of power by the police commissioner, if that account is true. Because if the residents came to you to apologize for whatever the security operatives could have done wrong, and you still felt that you were embarrassed, and if you look at the statements of the police PRO, it was clearly, the issue of embarrassment was clearly stated, and humiliation, that you cannot humiliate the police commissioner, you cannot embarrass the police commissioner. So what are we talking about here? Is it a case of humiliating a personality, or a case of preventing the police commissioner from performing an official function? Which one are we looking at here? So you could see that the action of the police boss was more or less of dealing with people that tried to embarrass me, people that could not recognize my authority, people that refused to allow me to go in based on personal recognition. I had my rider in front of me. I had everything about me. It showed that I was the police commissioner. I don't even have to explain to you that I'm the police commissioner in the first instance. So doing that is like going out of my way to explain to you, and now you refusing to allow me to go in shows that you need to be taught a good lesson. And what reason did they give for arresting the widow and her children? They said for inciting violence and disturbance of public peace. You can imagine that those accusations and allegations against somebody that they were aware was a true resident of that estate. So what am I saying? Well, I'm trying to say that the police authorities, the police boss, for me, went overboard. More so when the residents association had come around to plead with him, to beg him to apologize on behalf of the security people at the gates. And I also want to state that these security people that man gates, they can also be overzealous. And as far as they are concerned, they don't even respect anybody aside the management, the estate management that employs them. If you have been to that Magodo Brooks before, you know that their gates are automated. usually they will ask you where you are going to. I've been there, and when you tell them where you are going, they allow you in. You get it? But I also think, when I'm talking about overzealousness, is because of the kind of retinue of people that probably followed the police boss. He didn't go there alone. You get it? So those security people too, they wanted to show that they were something, that you can't come to our gates and give us order. We have people that are managing us here. I see that, I could sense that from their attitude, which I don't also think is right. But for me, even if the residents were wrong, I expect the police boss to have done differently. Why? Because it's an authority figure. You get it? Whatever he does will be scrutinized, analyzed, and all of that. Just imagining a situation where if the police boss, for example, had waited it through, even for the residents management to come, and at the end of the day, those security operatives realized that they actually embarrassed such an important...
Not just even the police and the police boss and his crew,
yes,
but even the estate.
Exactly. Yeah, I guess they could have felt bad, and all of us could have been praising the police boss for exercising a strange sense of maturity in that particular situation. I'm saying this because we are in a country where policemen do as they like to the citizens. Everybody uses his power as they like. We talk about policemen arresting innocent Nigerians for different kinds of reasons. We are talking about NSAS and all of that. So as the police boss, whatever he does is very important. And that is why I'm thinking that he could have handled the situation differently.
Right. Mayor, how do you look at, the level of response from the police chief? How appropriate would you, describe it?
I think, without censorship, I think the police commissioner behaved appropriately. You see, perception is everything. In the issue of power, if the commissioner of police is denied by these private securities, they're not even certified security people. They're just employed by some people and called in a company and put as security gate. If those people can want to show power to the commissioner of police, then we're in trouble. You see, the problem with us is that because the police have done so many things that we don't like, we want to throw the baby with the bathwater. That's the same problem that we had after NSAS. And security broke down because we felt that the best way to solve the NSAS problem is to destroy the Nigerian police. We can't do that. It's throwing the baby with the bathwater. You can, if the commissioner of police, the most important police officer, the officer of state, because the police is the symbol of the state. Police is the symbol of the state. So if ordinary security man in Brooks can tell the commissioner of police that you are not important, this is our estate, we will do whatever we like, then you are telling us that thugs in every corner can just sit in one area and say, oh, police should not come here, we don't want to see police, we don't want to see police in this estate. That is not acceptable. You see, when people are giving accounts, it's obvious that the accounts that was given by the estate is not true account of what happened. Everybody will want to, if it is true account of what happened, the chairman of board of trustees will not apologize. You understand what I'm saying? That's not the true account of what happened. Because what happened was that there are some people who do not realize the implication of what they were doing. And they were insisting to a commissioner of police that until whoever you want to go and meet, call this gate, you are not going to enter. And when the man was trying to tell them that, look, this is the commissioner of police, they said no. So he didn't access that estate until those people were arrested. If he had not arrested those people, he would not have accessed that gate. And
the people that were arrested were also said to have, had, the token to the gates into the estate. So they arrested them, and then we saw the logjam outside.
What the police said was that which is possible. It's because there are two accounts. We were not there, so we have to look at the issue because everybody will want to explain things. The police officer claimed that 4 people were arrested. He assessed the place, and then they left one person behind to be able to control the gate, and they added security with him so that they can be able to join him there. You understand? That is what police. The woman was arrested because the woman was trying. That's what I'm saying. is the aftermath of the NSAS.
The resident said she came to intervene. The police
she
said
intervened and she's trying to mobilize people to say, oh, this is our estate. You cannot do this in our estate. You cannot do that. Because what they are saying is that it's inciting people to say, okay, let us mobilize and stop this person from coming. You cannot do that. So we are not sure of what really happened. But what is important is that what is established is that some security people said the commissioner of police in his official capacity cannot enter the estate, which is wrong. The police, firefighters, and ambulance can access any estate.
And are not subjected to the checks that they claim he ought to have been subjected to.
You see why you ask people to call the gate is to identify the person that you are going to see. It's a different from a police officer coming into your estate. You understand what I'm saying? If there is a security breach in your estate and they needed to attack that estate, you understand what I'm saying? When they went to attack Evans, the kidnapper, he was arrested in Magodo.
Into an estate.
He was arrested in Magodo. People went there. It was a sting operation. They went there and went to his house and arrested him in that house. So are you telling me that the security agents that have been looking for Evans forever, one of the biggest kidnappers in Nigeria, now they were able to track him to say, okay, he's in this house in Magodo. And they stormed that house. And you're telling me that because you have an estate, when they get to the gate, they will say, oh, look, where are you going? We want to go and kill. We want to go and arrest Evans. And then they will say, okay, let us call Evans to call this gate to allow you to enter. It doesn't work that way. We must not put sentiments because police have been doing things that we don't like, and then we think we don't want to respect the police. Because when we run into a problem tomorrow, are we going to call thugs to come and defend us? We cannot do that. We must follow rules. Those security people should not have done what they did. And they deserve to be arrested. They were released that same day, but they deserve to be arrested because what they did is wrong.
But do you think the matter, has ended this way? Or if we take it further, we can also, explore and see how, because apparently NSAS or no NSAS, there does seem to be a clear divide now between the police and when you talk about building trust and confidence and strengthening relationship between civilians and police authorities, or by extension security agencies. There does seem to be that very major intractable divide which needs to be addressed urgently, because indeed security situations, emergencies will come up in an estate or elsewhere, and yes, who do we run to or who do we call on? First of all, it is the police. So how do you think these situations can be better managed for the good of everyone?
Well, actually, the point that I maintain is because of this issue that you just brought up. If there is a mistrust, what do we do to build trust? How do we build trust? That is what we should be talking about, and that is why the action of any senior police officer is very important in a situation of clear mistrust between the people and the security operatives. And we might not even blame the estates completely. Why do people mount security at their gates in the first instance? Do they feel secured? Even these police people that we are talking about, who I respect, who I know are working, but are people really satisfied with the security they are providing? If they are satisfied, there wouldn't have been estates mounting gates here and there in the first instance. Estates wouldn't have been recruiting the so-called recruits that you think should have respected the police commissioner in the first instance. But interestingly, as low as these security people, the guards are, they are providing security for these estates, and they are satisfied with with whatever they are giving to them. So if we look at it from that perspective, and also knowing that, is it not possible also for criminals to put on police uniforms? It's possible.
But with that amount of...
I am not saying that is what happened in this particular case, because we know that the CP identified himself and all of that.
It was glaring.
It was glaring. But I'm just pushing it further, that it's also possible for people to put on security uniforms and all of that. So we can't really blame the residents, but clearly we need the police and the public need to build up trust.
All right, let me have Mayor's final take on this subject.
I'm happy that the chairman of Board of Trustees apologized. That's the best thing to do. Mistake was made. Yes, I agree that the commissioner could have handled it better I agree to that. But the fact remains that you cannot, perception is everything. You cannot surrender your power to gas in an estate, because he's not representing himself. It was the commissioner of police. He's representing the symbol of policing in the whole of Lagos State. You cannot surrender that sovereignty to security guards at any estate.
All right, we look forward to better police and police civilian engagement.